Regional Planning.
All the way around for Chris Shiner, Strafford Regional Planning.
Strafford Regional.
Larry Brown, Milton.
Dave Sharple, Somersworth.
Natasha Luchenko, Strafford Regional Planning.
Colin Lentz, Strafford Regional Planning.
Chris Parker, Dover.
Legal line for Highway Administration.
Paul Lockwood, New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services.
Brad Nichols, Coast.
And Comeau, Brookfield.
Wally Dunham, Madbury.
Thank you. Would like to begin with staff communications. Cynthia, if you're ready, if you want to need a moment, I can do something else first.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
No, you're welcome. This is Karen Fuller from Rochester. Hello. So we've already introduced, but I think you've probably noticed that we have two new staff people here today, and so they're going to give a little intro for themselves. So we have Tom Brown, who's our planning technician, and Natasha Luchenko, who's our planner. So Tom, would you like to go first? Just
Sure.
give a brief background.
My name is Tom. I'm originally from Rochester. I actually went to Spalding High School. Graduated from UNH with a bachelor's in community environmental planning. After that, I went to AmeriCorps, where I worked with Habitat for Humanity in Comeau, Washington for a year. Now I'm back.
Natasha Luchenko, originally from Belarus. I acquired a bachelor's degree in environmental sciences and international affairs from UNH. And then just most recently, about a month ago, acquired also a Master's of Science in Natural Resources, focusing specifically on coastal ecosystems and integrating ecosystem science, policy management, and also linking science with decision making. And my prior experience ranges basically in environmental work in Central America, in South Central Siberia, and then most recently in the Chesapeake Bay. And and I think my past experience and the program that actually Colin and I both attended, I think it will come in handy in this new position and new adventure.
Thank you. So Tom is working on the SAIDS program, and Natasha is working on performance measures, and they'll both be working on the Metro plan. So we're very happy to have them here.
Okay, thank you. Next item. We have a draft of the minutes from our September 5th meeting. Please take a moment to look at it. If you have any corrections, please tell me. Otherwise, I would entertain the motion to accept them as written.
Yeah, I think so.
Any omissions?
I move the minutes be accepted as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. I'll sign it here in a moment. Okay, now we're down to some discussion items. First one, please. Transportation Improvement Program, commonly called TIP. Updates. Colin and Cynthia, please.
Sure. Not a whole lot to say. We finally got the state transportation improvement program, the list of projects, and we've been looking over them. And then the next stage is to include them in as part of our TIP in our Metro plan, and so forth. So we just got that a few days ago. So that kind of put us back a little while.
So I can talk about the schedule in another section that we have. So I just would remind people to look at on the DOT website to look at the 10-year transportation improvement plan that was approved and signed by the governor. And usually there's some directions in there. They tell us how to do the next project solicitation, but there isn't any in this legislation. So guess the bank is open. The last couple of cycles, they told us no new projects, so I'm being facetious, the bank isn't open. The bank is fiscally constrained. Lee's nodding his head, I said the right thing. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Next, Transportation Alternative Program called TAP. Let's see, Chris and then Colin, please.
The status as of yesterday is that we are waiting on DOT to submit or to send us those applications that our towns have submitted to DOT. As of yesterday, the hope was that we would have them today, but that was uncertain. The tentative timeline is that we will do the scoring, the subcommittee will do the scoring this month, and hopefully we will have that finished for the next TAC meeting, but that's dependent on when we get them from DOT. And the subcommittee will do its best to get them vetted on our end in a timely fashion.
You know the total applications received, 30-something?
Total was 43.
43.
But that's, I don't know what breakdown that is.
Yeah, that's fine, that's what
I don't know that I have anything to add.
I was just going to say, following up on Dave's comment, I know initially they had 56 communities submit 73 letters of intent. So if they only got 43 actual applications, that should bode well for us.
Yeah, he had 11 dropouts, I know that, he told me that.
So UNH and Durham went to the mandatory meeting and decided after the meeting that it would be a good year for an application, or it wasn't a good match.
Okay. There's one item to be added to the agenda. It's not written down, but it should say Transportation Official Program. TIP, TAP, TOP. No, never mind. All right, schedule and timetable of tasks for upcoming fiscal year. Cynthia, please.
All right, so you should have gotten one of these. I
Yeah.
have, if you want it, they're right over here. And pass them around. So obviously we have new staff, and so last week Colin and Chris and Marilyn and I went through a year in the life of the MPO based on our UPW team, and so I thought it would be really informative for everyone because we have a really busy year, and some of our time is going away, and so we're getting into a really condensed time period to get everything done. So I know the agendas have been a little light over the summer, so I wanted to let you know that they're going to fill up very rapidly. So let's start on this and just go over these. So if you start with projects with due dates, so the first one is that, so I tried to do these in the order that we'd be processing through them. So the first one is the TAP projects, which we just discussed, and Chris told you that if we can process these and get this done in October, then our goal is to have them to you for your review and recommendations to the policy committee. And then the scores for the projects would go to the policy committee for their approval in November. And as you can see here, this is our best case scheduling, meaning that we get them in time to process through in October. So that's the TAP projects, our first time through for all of us. And then the next one is the 2015-18 TIP and long-range plan project update, and this has a 30-day review. So right now we're waiting for the formatting to come back to us from DOT. So as Colin indicated, we'd be developing this during October, review by you in November, And then your recommendations would be sent to the policy committee for their review and approval in November as well. The next one is the 2014 annual listing of obligated projects. And here again, DOT sends us the information. We process it through. This is what Mark Ambrosi used to do. This needs to be developed by December 31st by staff, and then we provide it to you for your comments. There's no action needed. So this would be, it's at our end, there's a December 31st deadline. The next one is the 2016-17 UPWP budget and scope of work. So I imagine we'll be developing this in January through March with DOT and also with input from the federal agencies. Hopefully we'll have it to you for your review in March, and then with recommendations from you, it will go to the policy for their approval. So this could slip to April depending upon when we receive the information. We don't expect to make major changes to either the budget or the scope of work. The next one is the 10-year plan project solicitation and project scoring and ranking. So by the time we finish the TIP, we'll be going, we used to have a month or two off, but because the summer slipped by, I just wanted to alert you, as soon as the policy approves the TIP, we're going to go right back out and start that 2-year cycle again with the 10-year plan project solicitation. And as you may remember, Mark and Dan developed the project portfolio, so we'll be taking this out to the communities and agencies and going through your projects that are already in the queue as past, present, and future. And so we'll be meeting with municipalities and agencies in January, February. We'll prepare a project scoring and ranking, which means we'll be discussing the ranking and the scoring during our February meetings, January, February meetings. And then April is when you review the projects and look at the scoring and ranking and make your recommendations to policy, who then approves and moves it on to DOT for their end of the process. And then this last one is a park and ride toolkit. We got, outside of our UPWP, we had received funds for this project, which we completed I think in 2013. So we need a pilot study. We need a community to volunteer to pilot the Park and Ride Toolkit as a demonstration. And so we're wanting to start this in January, February, and it needs to be complete by the end of this fiscal year. So this is now gone from funding outside of UPWP back into a UPWP funded project, and we do have approval for the extension through June 30th. So that's something to think about, and we really will be sending out a notice to ask for a community that wants to volunteer. I know Route 11 has some potential sites that have been put forward in the past in Farmington and New Durham, and I know that Milton has talked about a site. So, if you could go to your communities and see if there's any interest in this. So are there any comments on this side? Lee, did I forget anything?
No, I don't think so. I appreciate putting it all together here. It's good to see how it all flows, and yeah, we'll be, as far as the UPWP development, FTA and federal highways, we'll be releasing some planning emphasis areas, I guess updated planning emphasis areas, hopefully sometime soon. And so hopefully that'll be helpful as you develop the next UPWP. And we'll we'll be talking to you soon during the mid-year meeting.
Yeah. Oh, yes, we're also having a mid-year review of our budget and scope of work. All right, on the flip side, our ongoing projects. So the first one that we have here are the performance measures. So Nat Sullivan actually started this earlier this summer, and he is turning it over to Natasha, and well, all of us are working on it. So, but Matt is also working with Natasha on this. So we expect to get, this is something we're just going to do on an ongoing basis, and primarily because we really need the feedback from the Hampshire DOT to provide direction for us for the enabling legislation, MAP 21. But we'll also be working with Federal Highways and Federal Transit and US DOT. There's a lot of information out there on their websites, and we need to be in compliance with the premise and the enabling legislation. And also we'll be working with the TAC and the policy throughout the year, giving you updates and having you look at these and giving us feedback from that bottoms-up view, and also the state view at DES, and that will be very helpful. The next is our public participation plan, and so Shana has set a goal to establish a citizens advisory committee. Almost half of the MPOs have a citizen advisories committee, which we do not have. And so we're looking at establishing a framework, how it would function, soliciting members and having an inaugural event, and then letting them take the process of creating the goals and the actions and what they want to get out of this type of meeting and committee. The next one is the Metropolitan Plan updates with 30-day public review. So we need to update our Metropolitan Plan. I know it was almost a year ago that Mark came to you and gave you that 2 to 3 page outline of how we were going to update the Metropolitan Plan. And that's been on hold, and so we need to look at what Mark did, look at our existing document, look at where we're going with performance measures, and figure out what it is that we need to do to be in compliance with MAP 21. So this would come to you for review and comment, and it also will go to the policy where they would adopt it. The next section is transportation alternatives programs. We have 3 scenic byways in the area. So the Branch River, this is their 20th year, and they were established before the current guidelines and bylaws were in place at the state level. So they need to do some reestablishment of their committee membership. And when they were established, there weren't corridor management plans. So they need to go back in and work on a corridor management plan. And a deadline was set for this by the Scenic Byways Advisory Council. So Kyle actually did a lot of work with them last summer. You might see in our newsletter or bits and pieces that they held a very successful event with Moose Mountains Regional Greenway looking at tourism in the Moose Mountains region. I know Larry was there. It was quite the enjoyable evening. Cheese, fruit, wine at the start of the meeting. So they had a great time at a local cafe, and I don't know if you were you there, Ed?
No, but that was at Tumbledown Farms.
Yeah. So we're really excited for the Moose Mountains Regional Day area up north for our region, and we're willing and able to step in and assist as needed. The next scenic byways is the Mills. That's Route 108 and US 4, and that runs through Newmarket, Durham, Madbury, and Rollinsford. So they need to establish committee membership and prepare a corridor management plan. Most of the data for that has already been done, so it's just working through the other aspects of the plan. The upper Lamprey was also approved in 2014, and Victoria's a member of that for the town of Northwood. And Southern New Hampshire Planning is the lead for this. So our role is to attend the meetings and provide assistance as backup. So that's what we're doing with Scenic Byways. And this is in the Transportation Alternatives Program, but all of the work that we've ever done in Scenic Byways has always been funded through our UPW. So this is not a new funding resource for us. And finally, the TIP amendments and monthly minors. So I imagine as soon as all the TIPs are approved and the STIP is approved, we'll get a letter from Federal Highways and Federal Transit, and they'll sign off on it. And the next day, there'll be amendment number 1, which I imagine projects are already stacking up for it. So, and additionally, every month, I process the monthly minors, and they go to our executive committee for concurrence with my recommendations as executive director. So TIP amendments and monthly minors, don't know how many TIP amendments we'll have, but I imagine there'll be at least one between now and June. So that's just the mandatory, we have to do this, except for Scenic Byways, which is, everything else is part of our mandatory documents as an MPO. So again, Lee, have I left anything out?
No, sounds good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So are there any questions? So I hope this was helpful and everybody sees that though you have the summer off, we're going to be having very long, full agendas coming up. So thank you.
Thank you. Next item is project updates from the law firm of Shana, Natasha, and Tom. Oh, I'm sorry, one before then. Scenic Byways update, Colin, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's what she went through.
That was the update, yeah.
So
All right, now, Shana, please, Natasha, and Tom.
I apologize, Tom. You could do a recruitment. I'll go get Shane.
Shall I start? Yeah. All right. I guess I'll start. I'm working on the performance measures, and Cynthia mentioned that Matt started this project, and so I will be taking it over right now and just kind of, I guess, a brief reminder on what these are, these performance measures. They allow us to track and monitor trends in the region and also in the state over time, and they also provide us with an opportunity to incorporate various environmental, social, sustainability, economic aspects into transportation decision making. And so currently we're actually in an early stage of this process. I'm not sure if you remember Matt's presentation from a few months back, but he kind of laid out a little rough plan, adaptive plan on how we will approach these measures. And so currently we're still refining them, and we're going back and forth between the measures and the strategies. And so once we have this brief refinement, it'll come to you for review. So just be on the lookout for that. And that's all from me.
Thank you. Shana?
Yes.
Please.
So Cynthia asked me to talk a little bit about the Title VI goals that Marilyn and I have been working on together. And so we have the goals from our last Title VI document, and what we did was we put together a table reviewing what we've done this year to meet those goals and what we can do in the future. So some of the efforts that we're working on is establishing a citizens advisory group, and that would help us to reach out to our populations and make sure that we're out there and doing outreach. So that's something that we'll be establishing. Other efforts include making fact sheets, Transportation 101 for people who maybe don't know what we do as an organization, and just a way to put ourselves out there. So that's another strategy. As far as reaching out to limited English proficiency populations, we thought maybe we could do an event with Dover Adult Learning Center, who does classes in that area, and so that might be a good way to do outreach to that population. Some of the other things that we're looking into doing is staying current on different outreach techniques and how we can reach populations by webinars and going to different conferences and meetings. And this just kind of lays out some of the different ideas. So we'll be sending this report over to DOT as part of our Title VI document. And we could probably forward a draft copy if anyone's interested in looking at it, but those are just a couple of the different things that we're focusing on doing in the next year to reach those goals for Title VI. And we actually met with Beverly a couple weeks ago, and she does Title VI for UNH and for Wildcat, and she was helpful in saying what she does for Wildcat as far as Title VI. So that was really great to meet with you and to kind of talk about that and to get some input on what we can do. So that helps with this list that we put together. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
I'm currently working on the SAIDS program for data collection. I recently reviewed the SAIDS data protocol for collecting data for pedestrian infrastructure, crosswalks, sidewalks. Basically doing a review to kind of check the usability of it, if we can send an intern in the field and they can easily understand this data and collect it. So kind of an edit, a review. I've been talking with Technology Transfer Center regarding editing this document, which is going to be pretty close in its stages right now. It's a very readable document with a few edits. Also talking about establishing a protocol for photography to go along with this data collection system, kind of a system of what should be taken along with it. Also, I've been reviewing the SAIDS protocol for culvert data collection so that I can assist in kind of QA, QC work for wrapping that up this evening.
Thank you.
Sorry, question?
Yeah,
I'm
go
forgetting
ahead.
what SAID stands for.
Statewide Asset Data Exchange System.
Okay.
A lot of acronyms.
All right, yes.
So I know in both of the projects you're working on, we had a fair amount of comments from the transit perspective, because certainly, before you're a rider, you're probably a pedestrian. So if there are notes on that, or if you have questions on what our angles might have been, please give us a call, give me a call. I know on the work you're doing, Natasha, we had suggested some really great data sources or sources for measures that are more appropriate for transit than maybe what you might find or not find out there right now. So there's some great work going on elsewhere in the state that can be copied.
Thank you.
Speaking of project updates, are there any communities that wish to let us know what's going on? Yes.
So in Dover, the Complete Street rehab of Silver Street's underway. It's going a little bit slower, but one of the things that I really like about the project is that as part of our Complete Streets policy, we included some green streets connections. So all of the drainage is being funneled to a centralized, or not all of it, but a good portion of it is being funneled to a centralized area next to Woodman Park School. And we're creating an educational area where students at the school will be able to learn about drainage and the impact and sort of negligence of, or the impact of negligence on drainage as part of the program. And that part is really coming together now, and it's really cool if you drive by it as you come in. That project will curtail probably mid to late November and then pick up again in April, and we hope to have the whole street rehabbed. It's a $5 million project, adding transit areas, really redefining pedestrian scale. I think we've got 28 new streetlights and 100 new trees, street trees being put in, as well as bike lanes. Ironically, we're eliminating all parking because none of the residents on Silver Street wanted parking. So we did some other things to bring traffic calming elements about, including some bump outs, etc. So that project's moving forward. And then we just announced our capital improvements program for the other night for the city, and there's a bunch of transit projects in there. Most notably is probably the rehab of the Oak Street Railroad Bridge, which ironically is in Rollinsford, but Rollinsford doesn't want to do anything about it. So Dover is doing it, it's raising the bridge level, bridge height to help with the freight train underneath, but actually rehabbing the bridge so fire and rescue vehicles would be safely able to go over it, which currently they cannot. That project, as well as looking at the Oak and Broadway area, the Keating and Birchwood area, and the Elm and Belknap Street area, these full neighborhoods, which will have complete street treatments done on all of them as well. So those are all projects that we're looking forward to doing in the next 6 years.
Busy times in Dover.
Chris, is the city funding all that through its regular capital improvements program?
Yes, ma'am.
That's impressive.
Good for you.
I know. Just checking.
What was it over? I got 5 cents to put in the street tree. I have one.
We're taking them from Somersworth.
There you go. This is
That's great. That's great to hear about that stormwater park there. I'd like to get over there and see that.
One of the things I should say about that was the way that I approached Complete Streets when I went to the Public Works folks is, as I said, it's not an add alternate. It's just the way we're going to do it. It's just the way we're going to design it, and stormwater has to be a function of that. And they were right on board with the stormwater part. The schools were the last to be brought on board, but they loved the outdoor classroom idea.
Yeah. I have visions of one down by the old GE parking lot. I think for 10 years, it's great to see someone's getting one done. I have TE project, our transportation enhancement project, streetscape project, downtown Somersworth is under contract. We had the pre-construction meeting Monday. The downtown improvement project is finishing up shortly, probably mid-November. And the transportation enhancement project is scheduled to start on October 13th. And they'll be kind of working on the other side where it's done and following the downtown improvement project and finishing up. It's about a 10 to 12 week job, and probably going to end this. They're scheduled to finish this year, but not the plantings. The plantings might have to wait because the ground might be frozen. But the other project, the bridge project, is on schedule. One half is done. They're going to switch traffic, move to the other side. They're doing the other side. They already switched traffic, moving to the other side. So that's on schedule and should be substantially completed this year. But I think the contract is final by June 15th. Looks nice. There's already one side of the railing in. It's kind of a decorative hybrid rail. Looks really nice. So look forward to that being on schedule and finishing up. So.
All right, thank you. Matt?
Quick coast update. Our collision record's not as good this year, but mostly because we keep hitting objects as we try to avoid construction.
That's in Berwick. That's that granite curb in Berwick. Yeah. And on Main Street.
Had a triennial review in August, end of August. We missed the September meeting, so we had 4 findings as part of our triennial review. 3 of them, well, 2 of them have been not included in the final report. The 2 remaining are easy fixes. Good triennial review. So every 3 years, feds come out and review us in umpteen functional areas. Big effort, as you've seen with the planning commission, but good review. We hopefully next month we'll be able to announce a new deal that we've worked with New Hampshire DOT for, a new deal that we've worked with New Hampshire DOT. We'll leave it at that. It's kind of exciting. It's outside of the box, and hopefully something that can be replicated in the future, if not just with Coast, but with other properties in the state, transit properties in the state. The end of the month, I'll be going to my first meeting of the Transit Advisory Committee on Safety. Senator Shaheen had nominated me last fall to sit on this new committee that's part of the MAP 21 authorization, or map 21. And over the summer, Secretary Fox accepted or appointed me to the committee. So it's a nationwide committee, meetings in DC every 6 months or so. Looking forward to representing New Hampshire and looking forward to representing small public transit systems that can't do what the MBTAs of the world can do relative to safety, nor do we need to. Hopefully we'll be protecting us from overburdensome regulation. That's sort of my angle. Not that there isn't any needed. Support that 100%, but there can be, it's over-regulation is not needed in that area. Leave it at that.
Thank you. Other communities, yes?
Brad, I wanted to just bring to your attention, if you're not already aware of this, we've had some Newmarket residents contact us at the town hall, very concerned about the prospect of losing Route 7.
Yes, thank you.
And I just, hope that there can be some satisfactory resolution of that, because we do have a lot of Newmarket residents that do rely on the Coast bus service, and it would be a real loss to the community if that went away.
Yep.
And I'll just leave it at that. I know there's some politicking and negotiations going on.
Well, yeah, so I'll fill this in a little bit more. So Route 7 is between Exeter, Stratham, Newmarket, Greenland, Portsmouth, Pease, and Newington. A number of the communities have stepped away from funding that route or continue to fund at far less than what we've asked for. It's gotten to the point where, as an organization, we cannot continue to carry that load for financing that route if the communities aren't willing to pay for it, which is our model. So we've held our first stakeholders meeting with the communities, discussed sort of the facts on the street, and we'll begin beginning of next month, probably talking about options. There are a whole host of options that can be considered, and the trick will be winnowing those down in a reasonable time frame for town budget cycle. So it's a route that serves a very large geographic area, a lot of rural components to it, with a really long headway between buses. So every 3 hours or so a bus comes by. There's a lot of reasons why it shouldn't perform well. And it doesn't, it's the lowest performing route on our system. Not that the performance is really out of line with what you would expect for the services we have on the street, but that said,
so it's not a done deal at this point, which is good.
Some of the options to save it or to...
Sure, some of the options would be to reconfigure it to be a commuter express type service, morning and late afternoon, early evening, possibly with some sort of on-demand service in between, or get rid of fixed route service altogether and have on-demand service in limited communities during the middle part of the day, primarily geared towards seniors and disabled individuals. Could reconfigure the route geographically so that it's not trying to do so much. There's all sorts of options there. Epping, Exeter, Stratham, Newmarket. Double the level of service on the street.
We'll see
Not
if we
really
can
an option
drum up some
anybody's jumping
business
at.
for you.
Or eliminate service altogether. Or, yeah, so.
Thank you, Brad. I appreciate it.
Just one, I think we fell off the meeting circuit. So if you could make sure that Colin's on that list so that we get
Yep.
Because I did want us to attend that.
Yes.
And I apologize for not being there. It just somehow slipped.
Yeah, yeah, we've talked.
Brad, comment about your request for community funding.
Yes.
As selectman in Middleton, I review all budget requests. Most people that ask us for money simply say, we need this much. Coast, on the other hand, has presented a very detailed list. These are the number of trips, these are the number of riders, here's what we'd like each town to submit. Very easy to defend what it is you're asking for, because you have provided a lot of detail about the service, in my case, provided to Middleton. Thank you for providing that. Other people asking for money would do well to follow your example. Thank you.
I have a couple of reports from Newmarket. We're still waiting for DOT on the go-ahead to finalize the design for the downtown safety improvement project for pedestrians. We are very pleased that DOT has been in with their contractors and have paid for 108 and 152, and the roads look great. I also wanted to mention that the town has submitted an application under the Coastal Program Climate Resiliency Grant Program to do some modeling of the Moonlight Brook area, which was an area that was substantially impacted by flooding during the Mother's Day flood in 2006. And the culvert data that you're working and pulling together for us is going to be very useful to us in that analysis. And we're fortunate enough to get the grant money, but we're hopeful, and this is kind of dovetailing with the work we're doing with the Regional Planning Commission and the future land use plan for your market. I also want to mention, and for those of you that are APA members, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt on the internet. Portland, Maine received an award from the American Planning Association for the complete street work that they've done on Congress Street. So for those of you who are familiar with Portland, that's a real honor. This is like the first time in the history of APA that there's been a Northern New England award for their efforts, for regional efforts. So I just wanted to mention that. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
All right. Yes.
Like Coast, UNH and Wapac Transit also had a triennial review. We had one finding, which has already been fixed. And then also over the next few months, we're going to be reviewing the productivity on all of our routes and just making sure that we're going at the times and the locations that we should be, and just evaluating the whole system, because we haven't done that in quite a while.
Thank you. Brad, anything else?
I'll say one other thing. There was a notice that just went out yesterday or the day before about a meeting in Portland, FHWA community.
Yes. The ADA stuff?
No, not ADA. So this is coordinating between federal agencies, community transportation planning. It's middle of November, but I'll forward it to you, Cynthia, in case you guys hadn't got it. FTA highlighted it for grantees to attend.
The Regional Coordinating Council. Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
no, this is an FHWA sponsored event that is trying to promote the concept of multi-organizational planning on projects, so that we all don't forget some key important element as we implement a major improvement. Sorry, I don't remember the exact title, but
I know, I'm aware of it.
yeah, it just came, I think it just came out yesterday, but it's mid-November in Portland. So I'll forward it to Cynthia, and you can.
Yes.
I'm Karen Pollard from Rochester, and as the Economic Development Manager, I don't know every project that Peter Norris is working on for next year, but I do know some of them that are relevant to economic development activity. The first one, I wanted to remind everyone that the Rochester Park and Ride is finished, and thank you to Wildcat and to the Connection for making that their start and stop points in Rochester. We are going to be working to make sure that we're promoting the park and ride function of that facility. In speaking with Jim Jalbert from C&J, many of the park and rides that he utilizes have a very heavy ride-sharing component, and so we want to make sure that we've got good signage up for that. The City Council in Rochester has approved the funding for public improvements in the area of the new shopping center next to Walmart in the Granite Ridge District. We'll be spending $5 million on water and sewer improvements and some city street work that will connect within the developments, Walmart development on the northern side and development on the southern side, so that shoppers won't have to stick to Route 11 exclusively. They'll be able to maneuver within the developments. The EDA project that were approved for a year ago is finally underway with the awarding of the contract for the engineering work. That's 2 miles of water, sewer, and roadway on Salmon Falls Road and Milton Road in the area of Market Basket, Stonewall Kitchen, and then connecting down to the city's pump station on Salmon Falls Road. That will, in addition to bringing additional water and sewer infrastructure to the commercial district, will have the ability to service more residents in the Salmon Falls River area with sewer instead of septic, which we anticipate will be a very positive step for everyone. And that is a $4 million project altogether, with the feds supplying $2 million, Market Basket supplying $500,000, and the city providing the $1.4 million difference. Strafford Square is still on the list for the future. That is the area in front of Subway. It connects to exit 14 and 13 and a very densely populated part of downtown Rochester, as well as is the main area to get the main corridor to get into downtown from those 2 exits. So that study work and the design, I believe, is nearing completion, and we hope that that will be a construction project for next year. And there is state funding on that one also. So that's what I can give you in a nutshell.
Larry?
Just more of the nutshell. Which park and ride was this discussion on?
That was exit 13. So the one across, just about across from the Rochester crossing where Lowe's and Kohl's is, that is finished. I have been seeing cars in there, so I'm assuming they're on one of the services that are already out of there. So hopefully people will realize that that's open.
You mentioned development. I understand south of Walmart is Granite Ridge. What's north? Tractor Supply?
Well, Tractor Supply, there's also, the Granite Ridge District is actually 900 acres on both sides of Route 11.
Oh,
and it goes right from the exit 15 up to the Farmington town line. So there are projects in development north of Walmart as well as south of Walmart.
Okay.
So we're doing it in sections. The city's going to do our part in sections as the market brings those developers to us.
Thank you. Any other projects around the area? Any other business to come before us as a committee, organization? How about citizens forum? Chance to speak on the subject matter of the meeting if you're not a member but you'd like to speak out. No? Well, seeing nothing else, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So seconded.
Second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Very nice.